Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video we are going to be making one of these two super cute ponies or unicorns. They are what I consider a no-sew body pattern, which means we will make the arms and the legs, and then we'll start working on the top of the head, and as we go down we'll add the arms, do the body, add the eyes and stuff, do the legs, finish it off and close, and then we'll make all the little parts that we have to sew on, so the muzzle, the ears, the horn, and then any embroidering that we have to do. And at the very end I'm going to show you how to add the hair, and then I'm going to leave you to do that part on your own. And just a quick little note, I'm going to be starting off the first half of this video using clips from a previous video. So you're going to see it done in blue and white for about half of it. And then when I get to adding the eyes and the legs, I'm going to switch over to this guy. For this video, we will be using a number 4 medium weight yarn, a 4.25 millimeter hook, and a 14 millimeter safety eyes. And so far all of these sitting patterns have turned out gorgeous in plush yarn from my viewers, if you want to try it in the plush yarn as well. This is a crochet along, so I will be doing every stitch with you, and I am also providing a drop down at the top of the screen for the first 30 seconds of every row for you to follow along with. And don't forget, if you enjoyed this video, please hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you'll also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And if you're looking for the yarn type and color, or the hook size, eye size, or amount of yarn used, I've started adding that down in the description, as well as my social links if you want to share anything you made with me on my Facebook craft page. Okay, I think that's everything. So grab your yarn and let's get started. All right, we're going to be beginning with the hooves, so grab whatever color you have decided to use. And you can begin any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be making a knot with a loop on the end, as if I was going to be making a chain. And I insert my hook, grab my yarn, pull up and chain 1. And remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop over top of our tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, and our last increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that sequence all the way around for a total of 18. So 1 single crochet for 1, increase for 2 and 3, and then repeat that around. 4, increase, 5 and 6, whoops, 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase, 17 and 18. All right, now for our next row, we are going to be going in the front loops. So instead of going in and underneath both of those V's, you're going to come down, go up through the center of the V, and just catch that top loop. And this part is important because in our next row, we are going to be using the back loops to give a little ridge around the edge. So row 4, in the front loops, we are going to be doing 18 single crochets all the way around. Whoops, yeah, I'm not great at it. It's been a while. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And then if you're doing it right, you're going to have it kind of coming down a bit, and these back loops is where your stitches will go in the next row. So continue on. 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Now we are going to slip stitch into that next stitch. Whoop. Then we're going to chain 1. And now we're going to flip our work so we're seeing these back loops. And now we're going to do 18 single crochets all the way around in the back loops. So they're a little tricky. If you keep this folded down, it helps a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and that last one, 18. And sometimes that one's tricky to get, so you just got to dig in there and grab a piece. And then we're gonna be going in this next stitch right here. Remember, we did a chain 1, so we don't want to go down in this stitch. So for row 6, we're just going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Row 7, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. And you're welcome to do invisible decreases if you prefer. So 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and our last decrease for 12, we're going to grab our yarn and come up, grabbing the next stitch and come up, and we're going to leave those 3 loops on the hook because we're going to change now to our main color. So I'm going to cut my accent color off and then grab my main color. And we're going to tie those 2 ends together nice and close to the hook. Two or 3 times. And then you're going to grab that new color and pull it through those 3 loops left on your hook to finish off that 12th stitch of the last row. Now for row 8, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 8. So 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, and our last decrease for 8. Rows 9 to 17 are just going to be 8 single crochets all the way around, and I'm going to do those consecutively. So that's 8 times 9 is 72, so I'm going to do 72 single crochets, and then I'm going to flip my marker every time I hit a set of 8. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, flipping my marker, but I'm going to keep on counting. 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, flipping my marker, but I'm going to keep on counting. 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, flipping my marker, keep on counting. 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, flipping my marker, keep on counting. 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, flipping my marker, keep on counting. 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, flipping my marker, keep on counting. 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, flipping my marker, keep on counting. 57, 58, 59, 60, 61, 62, 63, 64, flipping my marker, keep on counting. 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. And now we'll take our hook out, remove our marker if we used one, and then we'll add some stuffing and close it up. Okay, so grab your stuffing. And it may be a little tricky to get down inside the arm, seeing it's only 8 single crochets. I used to do this with a pin or my crochet hook, but I got a great tip from a viewer quite a while ago now, that if you grab your scissors, you can just poke that in there so nice. So I'm kind of using the palm of my hand to keep this part from going up and out. And I'm just going to keep adding till it's firm enough that it doesn't squish very much, but I'm not stretching any of those stitches. You don't want to see your stuffing coming through, especially if you're using a dark color for the hoof. And then you're just going to lightly stuff the top part of the arm, kind of evenly, and then not quite to the top, because you don't want that arm to stick straight out. So this is firm and this is quite squishy. And then once you have that all stuffed, you're going to reinsert your hook. Now for the arms, we have to do 4 more single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and what that does is get us so that this back chain 1 is on the back of the leg. So if you only have to do 3, I'm doing 4, you may only have to do 3, and then now you're going to fold it in half, and you're going to insert your hook in the next stitch. It's a little hard to see the white, I know. And then you're going to stick your hook in the last stitch. And now we're going to do 3 single crochets across through both sides. So 1, 2, and 3. And then you can tie that off, leaving yourself a little bit of a tail. Even though we're not sewing these on, I do something with the ends that helps make them a little less floppy when we're finished. So if you have just finished your first arm, I'm going to put a screenshot in the next frame with a timestamp, and you can go back to the beginning of the arm and do your second arm. And if you've done both your arms, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. Okay, now we're going to do the legs. So grab whatever color you've chosen as the hoof color. And again, you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end like I was going to be making a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, chain 1. Remember that does not count as a stitch, that just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, we're going to do 6 single crochets into the loop over top of our tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then just grab that tail and pull it to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we're going to do 6 increases, so that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. Increase 1 and 2. Increase 3 and 4. Increase 5 and 6. Increase 7 and 8. Increase 9 and 10. And our last increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we are going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that around for a total of 18. 1, increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, increase, 8 and 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, and our last increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, and an increase, 3 and 4. Repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, and our last increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, we're going to be going in the front loop, so remember you're going to go down and catch that first, the front loop of the stitch, and we're going to do 24 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, come on, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, and then we're going to slip stitch into the next stitch, chain 1, and then we're ready to flip it over and go into those back loops we just made for the next row. Okay, so for row 6, 24 single crochets all the way around in the back loops, and make sure you're going in the next stitch or you'll have problems when you get to the other side. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and if you're struggling with this, keep in mind I'm using my finger and my thumb to hold down that last row we just made so that these stitches kind of pop out for me. So 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. And then our next stitch, remember, we'll be going over here because we have that chain 1 right close from the last row. Row 7, we're going to be doing 2 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeating that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, decrease for 9, 10, 11, decrease for 12, 13, 14, decrease for 15, 16, 17, and our last decrease for 18. Row 8, we are just going to do 18 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. Row 9, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. 1, decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and our last decrease for 12. We're just going to go in twice and pull up, leaving those 3 loops on the hook, and now we're going to change our color. So I'm going to cut that one off this time, and then you're going to grab your new color, and we're going to tie that on nice and tight, as close to the hook as you can, 2 or 3 times. And then you're going to grab that new color and pull it through those 3 loops to finish off that last stitch of the last row. Rows 10 to 15 are just going to be 12 single crochets all the way around, and I'm going to do those consecutively again, so that's 6 rows of 12. 12 times 6 is 72, so I'm going to do 72 single crochets and flip my marker every time I hit a set of 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and then I'm flipping my marker, but keep on counting. 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, flipping my marker, keep on counting, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, flipping my marker, keep on counting, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42, 43, 44, 45, 46, 47, 48, flipping my marker, but keep on counting, 49, 50, 51, 52, 53, 54, 55, 56, 57, 58, 59, 60, flipping my marker, keep on counting, 61, 62, 63, 64, 65, 66, 67, 68, 69, 70, 71, 72. Now this is where I stopped in my pattern, but the ones I've been making lately, I've been doing 2 or 3 more rows. So if you want your leg a little longer, do 2 or 3 more rows and then you'll finish off the exact same way. We're going to do that right now. So I'm going to take my stitch marker out and grab some stuffing. Okay, so just like you did the arm, we're going to put quite a bit down into the hoof. We want that nice and firm. Kind of push it out to the sides a bit. Just getting into them corners there. And then once you have it how you think you want it, we'll just add a little bit into the top part. If you stopped your leg where I stopped, you're going to want to stuff it pretty close to the top. And then if you did a couple extra rows, you can do stuff it about 3/4 of the way. So basically the last couple rows you added, you won't put stuffing in. All right, now we're going to insert our hook back in. Fold it over, and we want to go in the next stitch and the last stitch again, just like last time. And we need to have 6 stitches across, so we're going to do 2 single crochets, an increase, and 2 single crochets for 6. So 1, make sure you're going through both sides, 2, then we're going to do an increase, 3 and 4, then 2 single crochets for 5 and 6 in that end there. Then you're going to tie that off, leaving again a little bit of a tail. So if you've just finished your first one, again, I'm going to put a screenshot over in the next frame so you can go back and use that timestamp to start your second leg. And if you have finished your second leg, just keep on watching and we will move on to the next part. All right, now we are going to start on the head, and you again can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot, whoops, with a loop on the end like I was going to be making a chain. Grab my yarn, chain 1. Remember that does not count as a stitch, that just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, going over the tail, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 6 increases. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch all the way around for a total of 12. So increase 1 and 2, increase 3 and 4, increase 5 and 6, increase 7 and 8, increase 9 and 10, increase 11 and 12. Row 3, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. 1 increase, 2 and 3, 4 increase, 5 and 6, 7 increase, 8 and 9, 10 increase, 11 and 12, 13 increase, 14 and 15, 16 increase, 17 and 18. Row 4, we're going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24. Row 5, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and our last increase, 29 and 30. Row 6, we are going to do 4 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. 1, 2, 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, increase, 17 and 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, increase, 23 and 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, increase, 29 and 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, increase, 35 and 36. Row 7, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 increase, repeat that all the way around for a total of 42. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, increase, 6 and 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, increase, 13 and 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, increase, 20 and 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, increase, 27 and 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, increase, 34 and 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, increase, 41 and 42. Row 8, we are going to do 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 9, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 10, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 11, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 12, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 13, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 35, 36, oopsie, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 14, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 15, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 16, 42 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, 36, 37, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. Row 17, we are going to do 5 single crochets, 1 invisible decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 36. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our invisible decrease, we're going to go in the front loops of the next 2 stitches. So 1 front loop, 2 front loops, grab your yarn, pull through. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, grab your yarn again and pull through those 2 loops. And there's your invisible decrease. So that was 5. That was 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and then our invisible decrease. Make sure you're going through the front loops. Is 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, invisible decrease through the next 2 front loops. Got 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, invisible decrease, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, invisible decrease for 30, 31, 32, 33, 34, 35, and our last invisible decrease for 36. So I don't usually do the invisible decreases on the body, but you're about to see why we're doing them now. Our next row, row 18, is going to be 18 invisible decreases all the way around. So we are decreasing in every stitch. And I'm not going to say invisible decrease, I'm just going to count. So every time I count a stitch, it's an invisible decrease. So remember the front loops. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, oopsie, I'm not great at them either. 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, and 18. And if you have more or less stitches left, it's very tricky sometimes when you're first learning, especially to get in the right stitch, because it looks like you need to go in the same stitch that you did a decrease in. Just pull it out, redo it. You want to have this next row ready with 18 stitches. So you need 18 stitches right now in this row, because the next row we are attaching the arms. So grab your arms and get them ready. And for this row, I will be breaking it up across the top as we go, because it's going to be a bit of a long one. And we are going to start with 3 single crochets. So 1, 2, 3. Now grab one of your arms, and you're going to want to have the string facing the front. So where our stitch marker is and we just started is the back, and that way our little kind of dip and our chain 1 will be in the back and not showing in the front. And we are going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and through the head. So in the first stitch of the arm and the next stitch of the head, that's 1, through the arm, through the head, that's 2, and then the last stitch of the arm and the next stitch of the head, that's 3. And now we're going to do 6 single crochets across the front. Make sure you're going in the next stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now grab your other arm, and this time it's going to go the other way. Strings facing the front, and that little divot there in the back where we chained into the back. And we're going to do 3 single crochets through the arm and through the next stitch of the head. So that's 1, through the arm, next stitch of the head, that's 2, through the arm, and the next stitch of the head. And then we should have 3 single crochets left to finish off the row. 1, 2, 3. Row 20, we are going to be doing 2 single crochets, 1 increase. We'll repeat that all the way around, and when you get to these strings, make sure they stay on the outside so that they're free for us to use later on. So 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4. And repeat that around. 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, increase, 11 and 12, 13, 14, increase, 15 and 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20. We're about to do our last set here. 21, 22, and an increase, 23 and 24. Row 21, we are going to be doing 24 single crochets all the way around. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 22, 24 single crochets all the way around. I apologize if you hear crinkling. I got an ice pack on my lap. It's so hot up here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. Row 23, 24 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, and 24. Row 24, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 30. 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, increase, 14 and 15, 16, 17, 18, increase, 19 and 20, 21, 22, 23, increase, 24 and 25, 26, 27, 28, and our last increase, 29 and 30. Row 25, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 26, we are going to do 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and 30. Row 27, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 28, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 29, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 30, 30 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30. Row 31, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 24. So 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4, 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12, 13, 14, 15, and a decrease for 16, 17, 18, 19, and a decrease for 20, 21, 22, 23, and a decrease for 24. Okay, we're going to add the eyes now. So what you want to do is flatten your little guy out. Use your arms to center him and make sure you have it how you want it. And then we're going to use this first starting loop as our row 1. And we're going to count down to between rows 10 and 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So down one row between rows 10 and 11. And right now we're just finding the row. And then now we will try and find our center across. And I actually think I might be really close. I like to go about to the center of my neck, find that starting loop, and then just kind of come down and see how it lines up. And mine's a little crooked here, so it might not look straight to you, but out of the camera view, it is straight. And so I think I'm pretty good. And what I do is I go into a stitch. So I'm not in a hole, I'm right in a stitch. And then I have a hole on each side of my pin. And I think that's pretty good. So if you're happy with where you have it, grab your eye. And we are going to go 4 holes from the pin. So there's our pin. 1, 2, 3, and in that 4th hole, we're going to stick our eye. And then we're going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So there's our pin. 1, 2, 3, 4, and in that 4th hole. Have another look. Make sure you're happy with where they are, because once we put the backs on, we're not going to be changing it. You know what? I think now that I've got them on, I'm going to move them both over 1. Yeah, that's a little bit better, I think. All right, so if you're happy with them, you're going to put your backs on, and what I do, I stick my thumb onto my first one, and I'm going to push that out through the neck hole, which will make it a lot easier to get to your back. And then we'll just put the back on, and then do the same thing for the other eye. Get your thumb on the eye, push it down and around up through the neck, and then put your back on. I'm just going to give this one more squeeze. I think I got the other one a little tighter. All right, and if you want, you can add a little bit of stuffing to the head now, because the legs are next, and it is a little bit easier to stuff them without the legs. So I just hold on to the neck and get my stuffing down up inside the head. And you're going to want this to be fairly firm. Just remember not to stretch your stitches as you're going in. So if you see these bottom neck stitches stretching, you're going to want to be very careful or you are done stuffing. And if you find that you're always stretching your stitches, try going down a hook size on your next project. It really does make a huge difference as to how tight your stitches are. And most patterns are pretty forgiving about the hook size. Alright, I think I got enough in there. So now again, we got to flatten down this bottom. And now we're going to add the legs, so get your legs handy. And our goal here is to have 12 single crochets across the front and 12 across the back. Don't worry about the back if you have a different amount than me. Your most important thing will be centered and 12 across the front. Now if you're doing this left-handed, you may be doing this row in reverse, and because I'm crocheting this way around, my first leg's going to start here, so I'm going to start counting on this side. So I need 12 stitches across. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and I'm going to put my needle in that 12th stitch, and I'm just going to mark that. So if you're not in the same spot as me, you can see how to get them centered. Okay, let's get our hook back in now. And if I marked mine right, I should have 8 single crochets across. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And don't worry if your number is different, as long as you centered your legs in the front. So I'm going to take my marker out because my leg is going in that next stitch. And when you add your leg, you want to make sure that this little divot we made when we did our chain 1, when we were doing front loop backward loop, is on the back facing you, so that you don't see it when he's sitting. All right, I lost everything here. So now we are going to do 6 single crochets through the leg and through the next stitch of the body. So 1 through the leg, through the body. Oh, you can't see this good. That's 2 through the next stitch of the leg and the next stitch of the body. That's 3 through the leg, through the body. That's 4 through the leg, through the body. That's 5 and through the leg and through the body. That's 6. Then we're going to flip that end in. We'll put it on the inside later. And then grab your next leg. Again, remember, make sure that little divot where you did your chain 1 is facing up and away from the front of your little guy. And again, we're going to do 6 single crochets across through the leg and through the body. So that's 1 through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 2 through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 3 through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 4 through the leg, through the next stitch of the body, that's 5, and then our last one through the leg, through the body, that's 6, and then bring that string in, and we should have 4 single crochets left. If you have the same as me, you might have a different number if your beginning single crochets were different. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then we're just going to tie these leg ends now too while we have it here. So grab your 2 leg strings and we're just going to loosely tie them. We don't want to pull them too tight because we don't want our legs to come in. We're just basically securing this so that they don't work their way out over time. And then we'll give those a cut. Now, if you have trouble stuffing when your rounds start getting to the end, you may want to add stuffing now. We only have 3 rows left. And then let's insert our hook. Row 33, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 18. So 1, 2, and a decrease for 3, 4, 5, and a decrease for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. Oops, sorry, my legs are getting in the way here. 13, 14, and a decrease for 15, 16, 17, and our last decrease for 18. I think I will add some stuffing here because something's happening and I don't know why I can't get my hands in the right position here. So if you hadn't added any stuffing to the body yet, the body does not have to be as firm as the head. You just want to be able to get them to stand up or sit and just kind of feel, unless you're doing a plush one, then I guess you may need to use quite a bit more stuffing. And what I like to do is kind of push it out to the back of his bum so that he has a little bit more area here for sitting. And we want to have it flat across the top. right, row 34, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 decrease, repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. So 1 decrease for 2, 3, decrease for 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, decrease for 8, 9, decrease for 10, 11, and our last decrease for 12. All right, our last row, row 35, we are just going to do 6 decreases all the way around, and you may not have to do this row, or you may not have to do all 6, whatever you prefer. So 1 decrease, 2 decreases, 3 decreases, excuse me, 4 decreases, 5 decreases, 6 decreases. Whoop. I can't even twist my hand that way. There we go. And then we're just going to single or slip stitch into the last stitch and tie that off, leaving a little bit of a thread to sew that on. All right, so let's remove our stitch markers. And we'll thread on our yarn. And what we're going to do is we're going to be weaving in, we're going to be weaving in and out of these top loops of our last row, all the way around. If you are doing this in plush yarn, you may want to go halfway, especially if you didn't do the last row. Pull it, and then do the rest and pull it again, and that will help not snap your yarn. So just give that a tug, close that hole, and then I like to just do a little knot in the next stitch over. And then we'll just bring that down into the center and out somewhere in the back. And let's trim that end. And now we'll do these little arm strings. So thread one of your arms. It does not matter which one you do first. And what you're going to do is you're going to go down in this last stitch where you attached your arm around. Come out the back, somewhere about the center of the neck. And then we'll put the other arm string on and do the same thing. So right in that stitch where your last stitch of your arm was, out the back and into the same spot you took your other string out. Whoop, I'm wrapped around my arm here. And then you're going to give that one tie, keeping track of your ends. I like to wrap them around my neck so I know which end is which. Spin them around. Then you're going to pull on these threads to bring in these knots and kind of secure the arms a little better. And you can do it as tight or as loose as you want, or not at all. Just be careful not to snap your thread, and when you're happy with where they are, you're just going to tie that to secure that spot. And then we'll thread our yarn back on and put it out the body. So I'm going to go back in that same hole and then just out somewhere in the back. And we'll give that a trim. All right, and now we have our little base done. All right, now we're going to make the muzzle, and this time we will have to do the knot with the loop on the end because we're going to be making a chain. So you're going to fold your yarn over, grab that end, wrap it around your finger, down and around and through. Give that loop a little pinch and then slide your knot up. Ideally, you want your loop to be just a little bit bigger than your hook. Insert your hook, and we're going to chain 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now we're going to go into the second chain from the hook. So this loop does not count. This is your first chain. This is your second chain. So in that second chain, we're going to do 1 single crochet, and this is going to count as an end stitch. And then we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4. And now we're going to be working in this last end stitch, and we're going to do 3 single crochets and pivot our work around as we go so we end up on the other side. So 1 single crochet, oops, pivot a bit, 2 single crochets, pivot all the way, so you're now on the other side, and 3 single crochets. Now we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're going to put 2 single crochets in this end stitch on this side. 1 and 2. Now grab your stitch marker, and for row 3 we are going to put an increase in this first end stitch. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch. And then we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now we're going to do 3 increases around the end. So that's 2 single crochets in every stitch around. So increase once, increase twice, and then increase your third time. That gets us around to the other side, and now we're going to do 4 single crochets across. 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we should have 2 stitches left, and we're going to do an increase in each stitch. So 1 increase and 2 increases. Row 4, we are just going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. So make sure you're in that first stitch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Row 5, we're going to do 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Row 6, 20 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And that is our last row. So we are going to slip stitch now and then tie off, leaving enough of a tail to sew that on. Where's my stitch marker? Okay, we're going to start on the ears now, and again you can begin any way you prefer as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end like you're going to be making a chain. Insert my hook, grab my yarn, chain 1. Remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, we are going to do 6 single crochets into the loop over top of the tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then pull that tail to close up that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we're going to do 1 single crochet, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 9. So 1, increase, 2 and 3, 4, increase, 5 and 6, 7, and our last increase, 8 and 9. Row 3, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. 1, 2, increase, 3 and 4, 5, 6, increase, 7 and 8, 9, 10, and our last increase, 11 and 12. Row 4, we're going to do 3 single crochets, 1 increase. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 15. 1, 2, 3, and an increase, 4 and 5, 6, 7, 8, and an increase, 9 and 10, 11, 12, 13, and our last increase, 14 and 15. Row 5, we are going to do 15 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Row 6, 15 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. Row 7, we are going to do 3 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 12. 1, 2, 3, and a decrease for 4. 5, 6, 7, and a decrease for 8, 9, 10, 11, and a decrease for 12. Row 8, we are going to do 2 single crochets, 1 decrease. Repeat that all the way around for a total of 9. 1, 2, decrease for 3, 4, 5, decrease for 6, 7, 8, and a decrease for 9. Okay, I accidentally took my stitch marker out off camera. So now we're just going to fold our ear in half with our hook to the one side. Now we're going to go into that same stitch we just were in, if you can. And then the last stitch on the other side. And we're going to fold it and go into these 2 stitches on this side. So just take your time to make sure you're going in the right spot. It's a little tricky. The closer to the edge of your ear you are, the better it will turn out. I think I'm just going to grab this end here. Okay, so I'm like this. And then you're going to do 1 single crochet. And then you're going to go into this next stitch. You're going to be coming out the last stitch on the other side. But what you need to do is dig down a bit and make sure you grab the inside layer before you come up. You want to be through all 4 layers in that back side. And then finish your single crochet. Then your ear should turn out like this. And if you have to do this a few times, don't worry. The reason my stitch marker is out because I just did this 4 times before I was happy with it. And then just cut your thread, leaving enough of a tail to sew that on. Okay, if you've just finished your first ear, I will be putting a screenshot in the next frame with a timestamp so you can go back and do your second ear. And if you've finished your second ear, just keep on watching and we'll move on to the next part. And the horn will be next. So if you're doing the horse and not the unicorn, I'll also have a timestamp there so you can skip on past that part. We're going to be doing the horn next, and because I just videoed a horn in blue, I'm going to be throwing that clip in, and then I will join you back with the yellow horn to finish it off and stuff it. Okay, now we're going to do the horn. And again, this time you can start any way you prefer, as long as you have the same amount of stitches in row 1. I'll be doing my knot with the loop on the end. Insert my hook. Grab my yarn. Chain 1. Remember, that does not count as a stitch. That just attaches our yarn to our loop. And for row 1, we're going to do 5 single crochets into the loop over top of our tail. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then give that tail a pull to close that hole if you need to. Grab a stitch marker if you're using one. And for row 2, we are going to do 5 single crochets all the way around for a total of 5. So 1, 2, 3, 4, whoops, and 5. Row 3, we're going to do 5 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row 4, we are going to do 1 increase and 4 single crochets for a total of 6. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then 4 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4. Row 5, we are going to do 6 single crochets all the way around, and it's going to start getting a little easier here after this row. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row 6, we are going to do 1 increase, 5 single crochets for a total of 7. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and then 5 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Row 7, we are going to do 7 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Row 8, we are going to do 1 increase and 6 single crochets. So increase 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and 6 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Row 9, we are going to do 8 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Row 10, we are going to do 1 increase and 7 single crochets around. So increase for a total of 9. 1 and 2 in the same stitch, and 7 single crochets. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Row 11, we are going to do 9 single crochets all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, you've just finished row 11 of your horn, and now to finish it off, all you're going to do is slip stitch into the next stitch and tie that off, leaving enough of a tail to sew that on. And then we're going to add a little bit of stuffing. So you'll probably need to start a little bit at a time so you can get it down into the point. And you can make this as firm or as floppy as you want. I'm going for on the firmer side because I want it to stand straight up. And I don't want it to move around while I'm sewing. So I'm going to compact that all in there nice and tight right to the bottom, so it stays open on the end when I go to stuff it, or sorry, sew it. Just make sure you're not stretching your stitches as you're trying to get that in there. So see, I've got a tiny little bit starting to show, so I want to make sure I don't put any more down into that top. So I think that's good once you have it flat across and fairly firm. All right, now we're going to sew on the muzzle, and I'm going to understuff it a little bit just so you can see closer to the end how you'll add a little bit more stuffing if you need to. So when you stuff yours, you want it to be fairly firm and then straight across the top so no stuffing is overflowing when you pin it on. And I'm just going to line this up. So this is the row that we put our eyes in, and I'm just going one row down. It should be, if you're using the same eyes as me, just along the bottom of your eyes. So let's just line that up. Get it as centered as you can, and if you want, you can always put a little pin or darning needle in there to kind of hold it in place. And I'm just going to start pinning across the top, starting in the center and going right into that line or row of stitches. And keeping this straight across the top will help keep your nose or muzzle from moving around when you're sewing it on. So I need to move this one over because the other one was over a little bit more. So just keep moving it around. Then once you have your top how you want it, you're going to lay your guy down. And just wherever it falls naturally on the bottom, you're going to pin. I'm probably about 2 rows up from the neck, 1 or 2 rows. I'm going to put 3 pins on there, nice and straight. And I'm going in about every other stitch right now. I got my pin smushing my nose, but that's only because I don't have much stuffing in there. And then you're going to put some pins on the side. You may have to pull it out a bit so that when you sew around, you can get through both sides of the stitch. I seem to always have one side that sits nice and one side I got to pull out. So this side I got to pull out a little bit as I go around. So I'm kind of just using my eyes to line up the sides. I think I need to pull this one out a bit more yet. And then just pin it around so you're confident that it's not going to move around. If you have to go in every stitch around, nothing wrong with that. I go at least every other stitch, and then if I see a piece that doesn't seem to be super secure, I'll just put another pin in between my other pins. So I'm actually going to repin this top a little better. Because I did notice when I did the horse, I did slip down a little bit right here. So I want to make sure that's in there nice and good. And then when you're happy with it, we'll thread our needle on. Oh, I keep forgetting I have an elastic to put on. I keep forgetting this little trick to tie down the arms so they're not in your way. So if you just put an elastic around the arms, yeah, that will keep everything from flopping up, especially if you turn your guy around a lot like I do. Alright, so now we should still have our needle threaded. And I'm going to take this out so it's not hitting my camera. Now to begin, you're going to go where your first knot is, where you ended your muzzle. And you're just going to go down in that next stitch, under your muzzle, around a row, and then out. Whoop. Then you're going to come up the next stitch. You're going to go down the next stitch, around a piece in the head, staying underneath the muzzle. Now it's not going to show up when you're using the same color, but if these were two separate colors, staying under the muzzle will keep your stitches from showing up, and we'll just keep it a lot more nice and clean looking. So I'm just going down and around, catching a piece of the head, then coming up in the next stitch. And we'll just do that all the way around. Okay, and while I'm doing this, I am just going to remind you all, check down in the description, because I have recently been putting all my yarn colors down there, the hook and eye sizes. I have social links to my Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok. But I will say I'm never hardly on Instagram or TikTok. So if you would like to share something with me that you've made, go on to my Facebook page and you can leave me a photo down in the comments of any post and I will see it. Odds are I won't see it or won't figure out how to see it if you go on Instagram or TikTok. Okay, as we're going along here now, you want to go in your stitches, and when you're catching your head, stay on this line where you pinned. Even if you've pinned kind of off crooked or something, just make sure when you put your needle in, you're going under that line. while you're between the eyes. And catching all the stitches. And that will give you a nice straight muzzle. So see, I gotta go up a bit here to get in that one. And even though I'm going past my stitch, I make sure I go backwards into that next stitch and don't miss it. Just double check where you went here, and I did curve down a bit, so I'm going to curve down here. Usually I go a little higher there, but I didn't on this one. And always keep checking that you're staying straight. It's a lot easier to take it off now than when you get all the way around and tie it on. Alright, so now I'm almost where I closed, so I want to add a little stuffing here. So I'm leaving these 2 stitches open. I'm going to take my pins out. Then I'm just going to grab a little bit of stuffing. I'm going to start by pushing it in with my finger, but I am going to get my scissors because I don't want to push my nose around. And you'll just tuck it in. Make sure you're going all the way over here if you need to. I'm going to add a little bit more still. So I'm just laying against the opening, and then I'm tucking it in between the 2 layers. And there, I probably doubled what I had in there. So if you're happy with how it is, just make sure it's staying nice and not lopsided. And then now you can just continue on around. So my knot's right here where I started, so I'm going to come down. I'm going to go under and around that knot. And for me, that just kind of makes, you know how when you go in the round, sometimes it doesn't end evenly. I just feel like that kind of pulls that unevenness together if you go back to that other stitch. So I'm just catching that stitch now. And now I'm going to find a stitch that I just sewed somewhere close to where I am. Actually, I think it's going to be this one. So if you find one of your sewing stitches underneath the muzzle, you can keep your knot under the muzzle. So then we're just going to tie that. And then we're going to go down as close to as the knot as we can and bring it out the back. And then pull that knot in. And cut our string. And then I'm just going to take my metal needle and just kind of pull this back out where I stretched it when I pulled that knot in. All right, let's take this off now. Okay, we're gonna do the ears now, and I did the horse's ears on the 3rd row, going around that 3rd row. For the unicorn, because the horn, I'm gonna go on the 4th row. So if you're doing the horse, you can go on the 3rd or 4th row. If you're doing the unicorn, I would go on the 4th row. And I'm just gonna pin that. So starting in my center loop, this is row 1, 2, 3, and we're just going to put our pin in between rows 3 and 4. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side, 1, 2, 3, and then in between rows 3 and 4. Just kind of have a look that you like where they're sitting. I go around sometimes just to double check I'm in the same row. And then we're going to move those one stitch back because we're going to be starting in the back of the ear. All right, so grab your ear and let's get it threaded on our needle. And we are going to go where our pin was, and we're going to go around that fourth or third row, whichever one you chose. Get rid of our pin now. And then we're going to go up into the last stitch on the back. Pull that nice and tight. And then we're going to go, oh, that's not very tight. Okay, and then we are going to go, that's where our last stitch was. We're going to go one stitch forward and then around, down and around the next row of stitches. And then we're going to come up in our first stitch, and if you need to, you can catch a little more than that first one. And I'm going to go around that row again just to secure it a little bit. Have a look and see if you like where it is. I like to tack down the front of the ear. So I'm just going to go up the ear so it kind of stays open and stands up a bit. Go around your stitch, or your row, sorry. And then I'm going to go up on the other side. Keep in this fourth row though when you're bringing your hook down and around, so that when you put your hair on, your ear isn't in your way. So I just went up and down on one side and up and down on the other side, just catching a bit of the ear so it stands up instead of flops. And then we are going to just tie that somewhere in the back. On the underside. Nice and close to your ear. And then go in as close to the ear as you can and come out in the middle, somewhere fairly close to your the center of your head. We're gonna tie these together, so you want them to be fairly close together when you do this other side. All right, grab your second ear. Get your needle threaded. Now I'm going to try and do this the same way, but I'll probably do something a little different. So again, you're going to go where your pin is and around that row. Remember, we went down on this side, so all our stitches are going to go down on the other side. Through that back stitch on the ear. Whoop. Just the back stitch. You're going to go up a stitch and around the row and come out and down. And you're going to go through that front stitch, and I caught a little bit more than just the stitch on the other one, so I want to try and do the same thing on this one. Now this is where I always mess up. Okay, so hold on, I can't remember what I did already. So I'm going to go around the row, but somehow I'm on the, feel like I'm on the wrong side of the ear. And then we're going to sew this down a bit, so you're going to go up into your ear a little bit. You're going to come back down. Make sure you're not in the same stitch you went up in. Go around the row. And then the same thing on this side. Up into your ear a little bit. And I'm going to have to go down on this side and around this row. So I'm on the back side. So that looks okay. Don't worry if they look a little funny. Don't forget they're going to have hair coming all over the place here. And then you're just going to catch a stitch and tie your knot. Go down in that same stitch nice and close to the knot, and then come out where your other string came out. You're going to give them one tie, just like we did the arms. Keep track of those ends. I'm wrapping them around my head as I turn them around. And now you can either just tie them, or you can just see what it's going to look like if you squeeze them together. I always squeeze them together just because I know in the end, I always wish I did. And also they do relax a little bit over time. And then we'll just string those, thread those strings on and put them back inside. Okay. And yes, I'm still thinking about how I said I'm going to string those ends on. But I'm leaving that in because, I mean, I hope you know what I meant. Okay. Then we'll give those a cut. Alright, now we're going to be adding the horn. So if you're just doing the horse, I'll put something right up here so you can skip past the horn if you want. Or if you just want to see how it's done, you can keep on watching. Alright, so let's thread on the horn. I'm really not sure where I'm placing this because I didn't do a practice one yet. But my old version, I have it on 4 rows up from the eyes, so 1, 2, 3, 4, but when I put it 4 rows up here, it seems way too low. So 1, 2, 3, 4, it's right there. Actually, it maybe isn't that low. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this center loop again, and that's where I'm going to line it up. Maybe I should have pinned it before I threaded my needle. So I'm just lining it up between the ears and just in front of my center loop. And how am I going to get you guys to see this? Okay, let's try pinning it. So I'm going to put my first pin where my knot is, because then it can be hidden and you won't see it if it's up in the front. Just kind of look at it and you can kind of pivot it to decide where you want it. And I'm going to go right there. So what am I? 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm 5 rows up from my eyes. And you can be anywhere you want as long as you're happy with the position. And just start pinning it around just like we did the muzzle. Keep in mind that you want this to be nice and round, so your stuffing to the bottom should help, but you may still have to pull your stitches out a bit just so it stays nice and open on the bottom. And just always keep checking that you're not moving it out of position. So I almost have a pin in every stitch here. Double check that you're happy with it. think I am going to pull these out a little bit more. I think I only have one piece of the stitch there. All right. So once you're ready, we're going to sew this on. So again, you're going to go down, and this one will be a lot easier to see now with the two colors. So you're going to go down under your knot, around a piece of the head, and out, staying under your horn. Pull that knot in if you can. Then you're going to go up your next stitch. Go down your next stitch and around the row, staying underneath. So you don't want to come up here because you don't want to see the yellow. So you want to stay underneath your horn. And then come up your next stitch. Go down your next stitch. And this should be a little easier than I'm making it look. I'm just trying to make sure that I always have what I'm doing in the camera view. And I got a very tiny window to do that. So now we're going to back up. Make sure you're staying under your horn. Now see, I can kind of see that stitch a bit. So when I do my next one, I'm going to pull, when I go down, I'm going to pull it over a little bit just to kind of hide that. So see, you can't see that stitch in there anymore. Back up, and we're almost to the end again. This is our starting knot right here. So I'm going to go past it. Maybe. It's only let me go through one. Come up and around. I think I'm going to come back up this stitch. And then I'm just going to tie that somewhere. I'm going to go down here again so I can get that stitch under there. It's not an exact science. It's however you feel it's going to look the best. Oh, excuse me. That came out of nowhere. And then see, I have a really good string right here where I sewed. So I'm going to grab that little piece of stitch, and that's where I'm going to tie my knot. And then I'm just going to put it down and out the back somewhere. And when you're doing a darker color on a lighter color, it's always good to go down through a whole bunch of stuffing and then out, and then you won't see a line. Like if this was black thread and you just kind of went down here, you would see that thread. And I only worry about that when it's a dark and a light. If they're the same colors, you don't have to worry about that. All right, that actually looks pretty good. Okay, we're going to do a few things to the face. If you're only doing the horse, just ignore the horn. And if I do something that's more specific to the horse, I will pull him out and show you what I've done. So we're going to start by shaping the face a little bit and bringing the eyes in. So you're going to get a matching body color. I'm going to do the eyes first. So I'm going to go in somewhere in the center, and I'm going to be coming out in the same row that we attached our eyes. So it's the inside center of the eye. Leave enough string on the other side for tying. And you can either go in this stitch right here next down one, or what I've been doing lately is going all the way around the eye, catching the post so I don't stretch these stitches, and then coming into that second stitch. And now we have to match on this side. So I'm in here, I have to come out right beside at a 45-degree angle on the other eye. And then again, depending on what you did on the other eye, you're either going to go in this center inside, or you're going to go around the eye and then into the center inside. So I'm going around the eye and then into that inside center row, and then I'm going to come out where I started. And now we are going to give this one tie, and we're going to pull our eyes together. My one string didn't go under, there we go. And kind of push them at the same time. You're going to start slowly and tighten up more as you go. Be careful not to break the string, especially if you're using plush yarn. And once you're happy with where they are, you're just going to tie your string and then put it in through the back. Oh. One of these days I'm making myself a yarn needle threader. Okay, out the back. Give it a good pull because you don't want the knot to be in there showing. And then if you have a hole like I do, preferably with a metal hook, you're just going to kind of poke those stitches around a bit and kind of make that hole not as visible. All right, now we're going to do the little nostrils. And what I like to do is pin my guides first. So you're going to find where you started your chain. It'll probably be quite obvious because it'll be the most open stitches you have, and you're going to put your pin on your first end where you did one single crochet at the beginning and 2 single crochets at the end. And then on the other side, you're going to find the one where you did the 3 single crochets on the other end. So right now I have 1, 2, 3, 4 holes in between my pins. And that's just going to be a guide as to where we start our nostrils. So, and of course you can put them wherever you want. My other one, I had them going down, and this one I'm having them going up. So, okay, so we're going to start down underneath somewhere where we can hide our tie. And we're going to come up just above our pin in the next row. So I'm straight above my pin. And then I'm going to go over 2 rows. So 1, 2, and then in. And I did mine double, or no, I did mine triple. So we're going to do this 3 times. 1, 2, and I like to make my stitches not overlap on this one, so they're beside each other. And then when we do our third one, we're going to come out on the other side above our pin so that we can do the other nostril. And then again, we're going to go up 2 rows. Oops, I need to do this upside down. So up 2 rows. And then around 3 times. So that's once. Twice, and make sure they're going side by side. And then our 3rd time, you can either come out the bottom and then we'll tie this off, or if you want to give him a little mouth around, I'm going to come over to this side and about 1 row up from where we sewed it on, and I don't know, kind of in the center, you might want to go, you can kind of use your, I want to kind of go across this line here that's underneath our chain line. So I think that is where I want to go. So I'm kind of in the center, but it's going to come down a little bit. And I want it to go across. And then I need to match up what I did on the other side. So it's pretty centered, so I'm going to go 1 row up. And now I'm going to come out where I started. And when I did my horse, I did this part separately. And I gave it a bit of a squeeze. If you're doing it with the nostrils, the same string you use for the nostrils, you're going to want to not pull it too tight because you don't want to tighten up your nostrils. Looks crooked in camera, but okay. Then you're going to tie it. And thread it out the back. So you're just going to go in that same hole, and if you can, get it all the way out the back. And then just make sure that it went through all the way and you can't see your knot, and then you're just going to kind of fix those stitches. So I did pull this nostril a little bit. So if you don't mind doing embroidery, I would do the mouth separate. Oh my goodness, excuse me. I think I've done too much talking in the last couple days here. So I'm going to give this a long cut just so I can show you. I don't think I've done it in this one yet, but I might have. If you do that, you just give it a little sweep. Actually, I might have done it with the arms now that I think about it. Now, because my unicorn's white, I can't really show you or put on the white accents on him. But if you want to see how I did this, all I do is I pick where I want my things to be. And usually I start here because I can either go down or up. So I'm going to show you that way. But if you want them to be on the side, you're going to have to go down lower. You can just play around with it a bit. So I'm just going in the center of the eyes all the way across. And I'm going to be leaving enough thread on each side so that I can just kind of play around. So if I want them up, it'll look like this. If I want them down, it'll look like this. I went up. So let's do that on this one. I'm thinking it might be, if you weren't doing, maybe it's yellow, but if you were doing pink or blue or purple, this actually might be cute around the eye. And then I go up in this top stitch right against the eye, out through the center, and then I'm going to do the same thing with the other side. Don't tip over, guy. You're going to pull this out. Come back here. There we go. And then again, just to match that stitch, I go right in that stitch at the top corner, and then come out the front. I don't know, should I leave that? I might leave it. I just wish it wasn't yellow. Okay, let's leave it since I'm not doing eyebrows on these ones. Then you're just going to tie it loosely because you don't want to pull these under your eye. I don't know why you won't stay. And we're just going to thread them ends back on and hide this out. You want to gently pull this out the back because you don't want to pull those little lines underneath your eyeballs. So I like to watch as I do it. So I just slowly pull it till it's just through. Sometimes you'll have to pull one string by itself, and once it's through, you just fix that little hole again like you did before. And then lightly trim those. Scoot your end in if you need to. Don't mind it. Okay, now I'm going to show you how I made the strands of yarn and attached them. I'm not obviously going to do the whole head of hair with you because it will take forever. So if you're doing a single color, you obviously only need one strand of yarn. I don't know what this is going to turn out like yet, but I'm going to use all 6 colors of the rainbow, and then all I do is I use my hand as my guide. You want these to be about 6 inches, and for me that's around 6 inches when I go around. So I'm only going to do a few. I used about 100 strands of yarn, and then maybe I made a few more to fill in a few holes. So if my math is right, if I go around with 6 strands, if I do about 20 times around, I should have 120 pieces. So for right now, I'm just going to go around a couple of times. And then I'm going to give that a cut. And then you're going to take it off your hand, and you want to cut down here as well. And that should give you quite a few strands to get started. So of course you can do this any way you want, but this is how I did it. So you're going to fold your yarn in half, and we'll be using this loop in the middle. And I like to start in my center and work my way out. So I'm starting in my center loop, going around that row. I'm going to grab the middle of that yarn and then just pull it through. And then now I'm going to grab the ends of my yarn and I'm going to pull it through that loop that we just made. And then you're going to give it a pull. So there's your first hair. And then I'm just going to go around and around, and I'm just grabbing pieces randomly. I'm not planning anything because I feel if I plan it, I'm going to end up messing up anyway. But I do want to make sure I have one of each color in the front couple rows, just because I'll have to add more. If I missed yellow, I'll have to add a yellow or whatever. So you're just going to keep going around just like that. To keep mine straight, I did pin it. I used a piece of string and I just held it down the middle. Then I just added my pins just to kind of guide me. Every couple of rows till I got about a little more than halfway down. So about to there. And then I just went every row ear to ear and then just kept going down about three stitches on each side. And then when I got to about the middle of the head, I started going every other stitch. And then when I was done, if I needed to fill a little bit on the sides, I just skipped a stitch and put a string down. Oh, that actually kind of looks good already. And then for the tail, the exact same thing. I better grab one of each color. Let's start red, orange, yellow. Need a green, a blue, and a purple. And then you're just going to do all of them at one time if you can. So I just picked a spot in the center. If you want to sit them down to kind of see where it'll be, I kind of want to be up about 1 inch off of where he sits in the center. Let me see, I'm about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 or 8 stitches up. I'm going to put it around the 8th row from the bottom. Although that doesn't feel like it's centered to me. I don't know. I'm going to go on an angle on this one. And then same thing as you did the head. You just try and get all those pieces through that stitch. And I missed the yellow, so I have to go get it. And then you go make sure you got all the colors on your loop or the strands, whatever you're doing. And then I use my fingers because it's a little easier to grab. And I got to pull all those threads through my loop. And just tighten them up. It'll just look like that. That's kind of cute. Trim those if you want. All right, and there we are. You may have to give her a little hair trim. Just remember, less is more when you're cutting yarn. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the subscribe button and click that bell. Not only does that help me out, but you will also be notified every time I load a new video, as well as any likes, shares, and comments are always appreciated. And also don't forget, down in the description, I will have some info in there for you about the yarn colors and types that I used. And I've also added a thanks button. I'm not sure how it works. All I had to do was click a little slider to add it. But if you decide you want to use it, I will be adding a thank you screen at the end of my videos for all my super thanks friends. And of course, like always, take care, be safe, and happy crocheting.